Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Jones. Welcome to Interchange, and thank you so very much for joining us. Lots to talk about again today. Why do the Republicans in Washington, D.C. keep bashing Obama's health care law? They can vote to repeal it, but it will never, ever be repealed. We'll talk about the GE Foundation giving $20 million to the Milwaukee Public Schools. Is that a good investment or a waste of money? And, of course, we'll talk about the Packers-Bears game. Joining us tonight, our newspaper columnist, Joel McNally. Longtime State Senate Republican aide and oftentimes a fill-in host at WISN Radio, Kevin Fischer. Denise Callaway, the coordinator of business and community partnerships for the Milwaukee Public School System. And Gerard Randall, consultant and local job creation expert. Rick Horowitz will be along with commentary at the end of the show. All right, first let's talk about the vote in the U.S. House to repeal Obamacare. The Republicans did exactly what they said they were going to do during the fall campaign. But other than being a symbolic waste of time, what's the point? The Democrats still control the Senate, and they say they refuse to even take it up. So is this simply to bash Obama again and again?
I think that was the original intention. Since the Republicans took over the House of Representatives, and a lot of, new Tea Party Republicans wanted to come in and show they could trash, the health care reform just like the last Congress did, although they were on the losing side then. So that we can pass this in the House. What intervened, of course, was Tucson and the whole idea of just getting up and spewing more junk about health care reform kind of lost its appeal for a lot of folks. To me, I'm glad they brought it up again, because every time they bring it up, you ask, what is it they want to repeal? Do they want to repeal the ban on not selling health insurance to people with pre-existing conditions? No one would want to repeal that. Do they want to repeal, getting rid of the donut hole for senior citizens and their prescription drugs? Do they want to repeal, keeping your kids on your health insurance, till 26? I mean, the more people know about the health care reform, instead of the, really truthfully lies that were told during the previous debate about death panels trying to kill old ladies and just absurdities. They even named this bill that they passed, the repeal the Obama job-killing health reform, when, the Congressional Budget Office says it will create jobs, not kill jobs. I mean, so they wanted to perpetuate some of the lies, but it's losing its appeal, and it's wearing out people. The polls show that the more people know about this, they don't want it repealed, and it would be absurd for Republicans to repeal it.
Kevin, even if you hate this Health Care Act, this does seem like a futile exercise and a waste of time and taxpayer money.
Well, if you're short-sighted, I think that's a very legitimate point to raise, that why even bother? Because even if the Senate would pass it, which it will not, it goes to the president and he hauls out his veto pen. So Republicans that control the House are just supposed to sit back and say, well, it's futile, why do it? They won't do that, just as Democrats who control the Senate would not sit back and say, well, Republicans control the House, why should we even try to legislate on our side of the aisle? It's not symbolic for lots of reasons. It's far beyond symbolic. As Paul Ryan told his hometown newspaper, the Janesville Gazette, many Republicans campaigned on this. They promised voters that they were going to do this. So they had to live up to their promise. And in politics, that's vital, that's critical, that's very important. Also, it sends a message that Republicans now get it. In politics, especially on the Republican side, you always have a few what I call squishes that go off the reservation. Not this time. They were unanimous in their support of repealing Obamacare. So it more or less sets the stage for 2012 if they can't get it done between now and then. On a larger scale, though, I think the most important reason that this was not symbolic is that you might actually have an influence on the United States Supreme Court. This will not be settled in Congress. It will go all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And all it takes is maybe one fence sitter on the United States Supreme Court who says, wow, you have a majority of the House of Representatives that wants this Obamacare repealed.
That's not the way the court is supposed to operate.
I know it's not, but it can have an influence. you see that polls show that the majority of Americans want this repealed.
No, they don't.
A majority of states have now filed suit to repeal Obamacare. So it's very important. But I think what Paul Ryan also said to his hometown newspaper is vital, and that is that, and Republicans will have a plan. You must say, okay, if not Obamacare, then what to take its place? And that's what Republicans, at least in the House, will be working on now.
You know,
So this may have an impact in the future.
Well, it might, but I mean, I just like to suggest that, you know, if, as Kevin said, that the Supreme Court would listen to what the Republicans were doing in the U.S. House, that wouldn't be very good, because that would make them activist judges, and we certainly wouldn't want that to happen.
I don't think they're immune to public opinion.
Well,
they read
no,
the
but
papers, too.
I do think if we don't have the highest court in the land actually following the letter of the law and taking a look at the law and making that decision, that's a bigger issue than whether or not the Republicans want to make some kind of a flash about voting to repeal health care when they know that's not going to happen. So, you know, I do think that they have every right to bring forward issues of concern to them. That's absolutely fine. It's absolutely correct. But this was just a stunt. You know, it was a stunt that got some people elected when they said they were going to get rid of Obamacare. It's not Obamacare. It's health care reform. It's health care reform for this whole country. It's not something that the president decided that he was going to sit down one night and write this law. It's a law that was put together by people who were represented, who were elected to represent the interest of people in this country. So, I mean, let's start calling it what it really is. It's not Obamacare, it's health care reform. And I think that this was something that some people promised they were going to do. So to fulfill a political promise, whether it's right or wrong, they decided they were going to go ahead and have this vote. I believe that, as Joel has said, more and more people, as we take a look at the polls, are finding that they support this as they find out what's in it. I don't blame the Republicans for doing this, because I think the more people find out about it, the more they like what's in it. The more that they find out that what's in it is not death panels. It's not other things that have been thrown out there in an effort to scare people. There are real things that are going to help real people. Millions of adults are really hit hard by this donut hole when it comes to Medicare.
We're all hit hard by health care costs.
We are aware that premiums are going
costs.
up, and there's some serious talk about rationing of health care.
No,
the more people find out about the
Premiums go up
ramifications,
because the health care
the more the
industry,
people find out about the
insurance industry
ramifications,
raises
the
them.
more they don't like it. And if this was a stunt, and then you can have the floor, if this was a stunt, then why did Democrats in this last election run away like scared cats from even talking about the issue or appearing with Obama to talk about the issue?
That's not true, because there were candidates who did do that.
This was no stunt. Primarily, what was repugnant to the majority of Americans in this country was the mandate to have health insurance. There are still people who are highly upset with government telling them you have to buy health insurance.
From them.
And that is the piece that will go to the Supreme Court and be struck down, which will unravel the entire bill. The reminder to the American people, and yes, there are pieces in that bill that people report Republicans support, pieces that even I can support.
But they won't vote for it.
Well, those pieces did not come up separately, like being able to keep your child on for X number of years beyond the age of 21. Being able to address the needs of those people that come in with pre-existing conditions. Being able to carry insurance.
Conditions, if you are going to require health insurance companies to have pre-existing conditions, you have to require people to buy health insurance.
No. That's not so. But my point is, my point is that if those pieces had come up separately in separate pieces of legislation and had been addressed, it would have gone up or down, and some of that would have gone through with relatively modest modifications so that it would have been acceptable to the American people. That's not what happened. This was a movement towards a single-pay system, which will not fly in this
It's not what it is.
It is what it is.
It is not.
Next topic. The GE Foundation gave Milwaukee Public Schools the biggest grant it ever got this week. $20 million spread out over 5 years, aimed at making kids better in math and science. MPS has so many problems, though, you have to wonder if even $20 million can help a sinking ship. Now, Denise, I know your opinion is going to be that was a rude thing to say, but that's exactly what a lot of people believe.
It's what a lot of people believe, and a lot of people believe it because People say that, and people hear it often enough. If they don't have any knowledge of the district, that's what they think. Let's make two things absolutely clear. It's not a sinking ship at MPS. Yes, there are serious problems that we have. And the other thing that's absolutely crystal clear is that without the help of forward-thinking corporate citizens like GE, we, not as a school district, but we as a community are not going to be able what we need to do to prepare our kids for the 21st century. We have 82,000 kids in the Milwaukee Public Schools. We need to make sure that those 82,000 kids, many of whom are facing poverty and other critical issues that really limit what their parents are able to do for them. If we as a community don't step forward to provide some of the help that's needed, it's not going to happen for these children. And guess what? We as a community are not in a situation where we can afford to have 82,000 citizens, even though they may be little people. We can't have 82,000 of our citizens not have access to the things that they need to be successful. It was more than a tremendous gift in terms of money. It was a tremendous statement to this community by GE that it believes the children of this city are worth that kind of an investment.
Kevin, next time there's a fight at Bradley Tech, there are some people that are going to say that $20 million from GE certainly didn't help that problem with MPS.
I'm willing to take a wait-and-see attitude about this because the Journal Sentinel editorial board has pointed out that sometimes these grants work, sometimes they don't. It all depends on how they are used and so forth. Personally, I just think you just throw money at a problem. It's not a guaranteed solution. And MPS is a sinking ship. I sat at the Rotary Club when Denise Callaway's former boss, MPS superintendent at the time, Howard Fuller, said it's a failing school system. And money alone will not resolve the issue. I talk to employers in the city and in the suburbs. They will tell you that the kids from MPS and even in kids coming from higher education are not prepared to work in the workforce. They don't have the basic skills. And more students, especially minorities, and MPS is a minority, predominantly minorities system, need to be coaxed or persuaded or steered towards these math and science courses and curriculum where they are sorely lacking. I hope it works, but because you know, I have seen too often at times in the past all of this money being thrown at MPS and the results are still the same, I'm skeptical. But I'm hopeful because we cannot just say MPS is a lost cause because then the whole community suffers.
Is this a huge mind-boggling gift? I mean, $20 million is a lot of money.
It is.
But is it enough to dramatically change something?
I'll tell you what makes this a phenomenal gift. It builds on what MPS has been involved in, it's certainly over the last decade, in improving reading and math. There had been more than $30 million invested in MPS by the National Science Foundation.
That's one of the grants that has worked.
And this is using pretty much the same model to improve science education, better preparation of teachers, putting the investment directly in the classroom with materials that are coordinated, that make sense for kids to learn about science and math for the next century, or certainly moving into the next decade, because things are certainly shifting all the time in terms of what kids need to know and how they need to be instructed in what they know. The other thing that makes this a phenomenal gift, it came from the private sector. These companies are not going to throw good money after bad initiatives simply because it's a feel-good thing. GE did its homework. They took a look at what was happening in MPS, and they made a calculated decision that this was the right place to invest money in young people to help improve science and math education.
And normally the relationship between the private sector and MPS has been cool at best.
Not only has it been cool, they've stood away while they've watched a number of initiatives that have not been successful, and then they've made the case.
For them to step forward and open up their wallets to this degree,
it's an absolutely phenomenal.
You know, it's really more. It's more. Well, what's in it for GE, and I think we've talked about the money. Sorry,
you'll get there, Joel.
But just real quickly, I think it's important to note that GE didn't just wake up one day and decide we're going to do this for MPS.
No,
GE has been involved for almost 2 decades in the Milwaukee Public Schools. So by bringing volunteers in, by working to help teachers by working to really help us with curriculum. So GE is not just saying, we think we're going to do this because it feels good. They have a commitment to the success of the Milwaukee Public Schools. And quite frankly, we need more businesses in this community to step up and do that. And I think the amount of time they've spent in there, spent in the district, shows...
take up all the time, Joel?
shows that they're... it feels... You know what it feels like? It feels like Kevin.
Come on. Come on. I never get a chance.
There's something I want to say, which is...
What is that, Joel?
Every time I hear, that we can't just throw money after a problem, I try to think of what problems we've ever solved without coming up with money and resources to do it. There is no such problem. If we want to go to war with Iraq, we throw billions of dollars. If we want to land on the moon, we throw trillions of dollars. And that's how we accomplish things. We have no shortage of resources in this country. What we have a shortage of, we do not. We will put resources into whatever we want. Money doesn't cure everything, but one thing money does cure is poverty. And MPS is an impoverished school district. The poorest children, the ones with the biggest educational obstacles, get the least investment. And these private companies that are getting involved, and I hope many more of them getting involved, we should just cheer them and say, of course you want to do that, because that's what's going to make the future of this community and the future of those children who need more than anybody else and right now are getting less.
And I hope that opens the floodgates, but as you said, businesses will not throw good money after something bad. They have to be convinced that it's a good investment. GE obviously believes it is, and now will others think the same?
This is why I think others will follow suit. Milwaukee has the 4th highest concentration of engineers in the country. 4th highest concentration of engineers. What that's telling me is that those businesses, GE, Johnson Controls, Rockwell, they have a vested
stake. Who are all engaged
stake.
in MPS.
Exactly. They have a vested stake in this community. They have to make sure that at least there's some equity and participation in this community by those people who are coming through the school system and able to participate in that economy that they're creating. They're not talking about leaving. They're talking about how do we use our resources to make sure we've got an educated workforce available to us in this community. GE made that statement. The others have made statements not as bold, but certainly sometime in the future, I think you're going to see those other companies latch hold to this initiative and make similar kinds of investments.
Find the magic formula to get more minorities that will want to go into more math and science oriented occupations.
Right. And programs like Project Lead the Way, where kids have that hands-on experience and they understand then what an engineer does, they understand what a scientist does. Those programs that are in our schools, and Milwaukee actually has the highest concentration of both young women and minority students engaged in Project Lead the Way than any place else in the country. Those are the kinds of activities which some of the companies you mentioned, Gerard, have been great sponsors of, make a difference in that.
Keep it up.
All right, let's talk about the Packers-Bears game. The smallest city in the NFL taking on an arch rival in one of the largest cities in the world for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Las Vegas has the Packers favored by 3 points. What does a Chicago boy feel about that?
Well, I'm with the Packers.
Excellent.
I'm with the Packers.
Otherwise, you'd get out of here alive.
I honestly believe the Packers have momentum going with them. Even though they're playing down in Chicago and, everyone is trying to talk about the conditions under which they're playing, the cold, the field,
it means nothing.
The fans that may not have access to Soldier Field to watch their beloved Packers play. But at the end of the day, the Packers are actually a better team. I believe that. Will the coaching step up to the plate? I hope so. I think we underestimate the coaching staff that the Bears have. They've got seasoned senior coaches. They've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve. We've got players. I think we've got more than adequate talent to go down there and face the Bears. But I do think it's going to come down to some key decisions made and some key effort from players like our running back and our quarterback.
Rodgers looks so good in Atlanta in that nice, warm dome stadium, wearing the comfortable shoes he likes to wear. He looks so different than he looked, I think, in Philly. Which Rodgers shows up Sunday?
Philly's Rodgers was pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll take that one too. He has been magnificent through the end of the season and into these playoffs. And he is on a roll. The Packers are on a roll. The Packers are hot. The Packers are the team everyone thinks now is the team to beat. And as I said last week, they're on a roll, and no one has shown they could beat them yet. I don't particularly like the rivalry stuff in sports where the supporters of the other team are supposedly hated people just because they're supporting that team.
That kind of hate is okay.
No, it's not. No, I don't like that.
In the sports vernacular, it's all right.
They're allowed to like the Bears, and we're allowed to like the Packers, and I think we're going to actually play 2 games and win both of them.
Denise, do you and all the boys in your house think that the Packers are going to pull this one off?
Well, the boys and the girls in my house think that the Packers are going to pull this off. They just have an incredible amount of confidence.
I knew your sons were Packer fans.
Yeah, well, well, you know, in our house, the first thing that kids learn to do is the touchdown sign for Green Bay. But I think they're just so confident. There's an incredible amount of confidence that they have, and it's different from swagger. You know, I kind of worry when the Packers have swagger because that doesn't seem to work out for them very well. But they just seem to have a quiet.
Well, the fact they're favored this week is scary.
Yes, so it is.
They play better when they're not favored.
But, you know, I think there are 2 things going for them. They have this quiet confidence, and then also there's the Sports Illustrated curse that is likely to happen with, you know, the Bears quarterback being featured on this week's issue of Sports Illustrated. There's that curse that tends to go with that. So,
well, it's rare that a Bear quarterback gets to play in a game like this, so that's why SI did that.
That was an historic moment.
More recently than the Packers.
You have this is the Final Four equivalent of college basketball, and these 4 teams have the 4 defenses are in the top 6 in the league, and defense wins games like this. So, and this defense has been red hot. So do what you have done well, and that's blitz, 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 rinse, repeat. And then the Bears defense is second against the run. Fine. We don't run the ball very well. Once in 15 games, that's not a running game to me. So don't run the ball. On offense, throw, rinse, repeat. And I weeks ago I would have never had the Packers in this position, but they are the hottest team. Nobody wants to play them right now. They're hot. I think Jay Cutler has the ball in the last 2 minutes, and he methodically leads the Bears down the field and gets in the red zone and the scoring zone, and then he throws a pass into the end zone, and what happens? It will be intercepted by the Green Bay Packers, who will win by the skin of their teeth.
Okay. All right. From fun and games.
I'll be wrong. Watch. It'll be all my fault.
From fun and games back to life and death. In the 2 weeks since those shootings in Tucson, the debate about gun control has been heating up again, especially this question. How much ammunition is too much ammunition? Rick Horowitz thinks he's got it figured out. Rick.
You know, there are plenty of perfectly good reasons to buy high-capacity magazines for your favorite semi-automatic firearm. Unfortunately, I seem to have misplaced my list, but I think I remember most of them. Let's see. High-capacity magazines are the only way to defend yourself if you're ever attacked by a high-capacity pack of wolves. High-capacity magazines let you create your own decorative doilies for festive occasions. They're an excellent way to organize all those loose bullets you've got lying around the house. High-capacity magazines help you qualify for the airline's frequent plugger programs. They make great paperweights and doorstops, and they're the perfect size to level up the dresser in the kid's bedroom. They give you a built-in margin for error for nearsighted folks. High-capacity magazines let your neighbors know you mean business. Maybe now they'll turn down the damn stereo. We live in a fast-paced world. High-capacity magazines can save you crucial seconds when you're mowing down a crowd of strangers. If college students don't have a way to work out their aggressions now, they could turn into antisocial adults. The vast majority of people who purchase them have no psychological problems at all. Oh, and that long black rectangle shape, very fashion-forward. Some people just have more enemies than other people do. In tough economic times, high-capacity magazines keep employment up in the all-important funeral home industry. There's never a militia around when you need one. If the government ever decides that having that many bullets is dangerous, you'll have that many bullets to keep those government agents off your property. If high-capacity magazines are outlawed, only outlaws will have the chance to shoot up shopping malls. High-capacity magazines let you prove once and for all that yours is bigger than his. The Founding Fathers were probably packing too. High-capacity magazines don't kill people. People with high-capacity magazines kill people. See? Plenty of good reasons.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you so very much for watching. By the way, the forum at the Marquette Law School with the candidates to replace Scott Walker as Milwaukee County Executive can be seen tonight, Friday night, at 9 o'clock on what's called the MPTV World Channel, which is 10.2. And then again Sunday at 12 o'clock noon, right here on good old regular 10.1.
Just before the Packers.
Yeah, stay warm, enjoy the rest of your weekend.